One of our goals is to help to bring the kingdom of God upon earth. Sometimes we think that heaven is much different from earth. Totally sublime. We're in some quasi world of light and illumination that's far beyond what we experience on earth. And in some respects, this is true because everything on the etheric plane and in the higher dimensions is more rarefied, more crystalline, more intensely divinely delicious, colors scintillating, everything alive and vibrant, and you feel the glory of God within his eternal kingdom. And yet, in other respects, life, especially in the etheric plane between lifetimes and before we ascend, is very similar to earth. And most people don't ascend on this earth currently, and when they go to the etheric octaves, they're amazed at how life really is very similar to earth. As we desire to bring the kingdom of God upon earth, we can take our cue from the etheric plane and see what occurs there and how we can represent it, imitate it, and draw it into reality here upon earth. People somehow think that when they get to heaven, they're going to be magically transformed into this divine entity or being by some process that God has put into motion in the universe. And again, in some respects, we living as spirits, as eternal souls within the etheric plane, do have a more conscious life within that realm. And yet, we bring with us into the etheric octave our soul experience, and we are limited by what we have attained upon earth, and we rise only as high as what we have actually mastered in this plane. So if we desire to rise higher in the etheric octaves and the realms of light, it behooves us to master the initiations on this earth, to work through our salvation, which is our self-elevation, and to not leave any stone unturned, not leave anything undone, balance our debts to life, balance our ledger, and realize that when we are in a continuous process of ongoing learning, evolution, and self-discovery, we are really in that mode of being within God's kingdom, an active participant in life as we can realize it, as we can experience, behold it, and we are truly living as God-conscious souls, as spirit sparks of the One. So if we think that somehow magically we're going to just be transformed into this divine being without going through the throes of the path of initiation and really working, realize that in heaven there is a great amount of work. If on earth we are engaged in the work of the brotherhood, working on various projects under the Chohans, or in some cases under team leaders and supervisors who have been assigned the authority to help lead by example and by their virtue, then we when we reach the etheric octaves, can continue this work with Ascended Master sponsors, advocates, mentors, teachers, who are also trained at a very high developmental level to apply the solar sciences of light in ways that can help us to fulfill our eternal destiny as we are involved in the work of the Brotherhood there. So the more we are engaged here, the more we are infused in the processes of all that's involved in the work of the Ascended Masters, the more we meditate and pray, the more we focus upon spiritual concepts, both reading the works of our forebears who have gone through their ascension already, and communicating through our own methodologies and our own artistry what we are experiencing, and working on ourselves continuously so that we are really learning these lessons of life, the more we really do draw heaven to our earth, and we transform this earth into a type of heaven, which is our goal. So we emulate what occurs in heaven here upon earth. We tangibly desire to draw the divine quintessences, the energies, the flow fields, what we may experience in the etheric octaves in our dreamlike state as we take our leave of our bodies at night, and also what we may recall from past lives or times between embodiments. And we seek in all possible ways to energize this earth with our light bodies, with the substance from our causal bodies. We plant gardens. We see the beautiful gardens and the architecture of heaven, and we emulate that upon earth. We develop in our mind's eye, through conceptualization of what we behold in heaven, patterns and ideations within the earth that can transform society, that can raise sentient beings, that can assist in the mentoring and teaching of people higher ways of divine living. Now, to do this, it behooves us to continually focus on the light and on the gloried ways of the Lord in these etheric octaves and in the heaven world. And when we're too focused on the darkness, the density, the netherworld of life as we sometimes experience it on earth in our physical bodies, and through a lower mental view of life, then we cannot fully accommodate these higher frequencies and rays. When we are in a time of meditation and drawing through our body temple these holy currents of light and feeling them being extended out and anchored within the earth as roots of light, then we are truly magnifying God in this plane and receiving those energies that we have been vouchsafed in our higher bodies, and truly working the work of God in this realm. And every investment of our time, the resources of our hearts and our chakras, our mindfulness, our heart-centeredness in the affairs of God here below in this realm, as above so below, transforms and transmutes and transubstantiates this matter plane into a more ethereal and divine world. Now, one of the keys in doing this is to realize, just as we realize that all beings are already perfect in their Buddha nature, to realize that the earth truly already is perfect in its divine nature, in its internal essence and beingness. And when we can draw forth and feel deeply this essential spiritual truth that God is already here, that the Ascended Masters are already walking and talking with us in our higher bodies, and that we can picture and realize this truth right here, right now, we more powerfully magnetize and draw into our earth right here and now, in the eternal now that we are experiencing these divine glories. If we continually think that somehow this isn't going to happen because there's so much darkness here, there's so much evil, there's so many bad people here and there, and we bump into these situations and we're listless because we feel powerless, then that's what we magnetize into our world. If we believe that we are solar beings, if we accept our divine commission, if we are engaged in this type of spiritual activity that spiritualizes matter continuously and that materializes spirit continuously, then we can act decisively for the Brotherhood in working the alchemies that are ours to accept and to manifest. We are all alchemists. And when we realize that God has given us the power of co-creation, we create our world day by day, moment by moment, through our awareness. And just as the new physics is teaching us that the consciousness of the beholder, the experimenter, affects the experiment and the result of what is occurring, so we take our cue from this and we realize our consciousness is what creates either the perfection of the alchemy and the victory of what we are attempting to accomplish, or something less if we're not in that mode of being a co-creator. I was reflecting with Mona either last night or this morning how our beloved council member Jackie, who is our treasurer, has taught us a lot about the creation through our budget process and through our business plan of what we desire. And exactly what we put on paper, exactly what we visualize, seems to manifest. And so if we desire a more abundant heart center movement, if we desire to see all of these positions that we know will assist us in growing our movement filled, this is what we must behold, and we are creating consciously exactly what we put our attention upon and where we focus our energies. So let us co-create beautifully. Let us mindfully engage in the science of conceptualization, imagination, and creative visualization so that we can realize our highest selfhood collectively, individually. We can, as a community of light, behold, as the great silent watchers do, perfection. And in that beholding, we are holding being in the centrality of our awareness and clothing it with mater. We are clothing it with substance. Beholder. Cyclopeia is called the beholder of perfection. Cyclopeia holds being in perfection until that essence is clothed in reality in this plane. So when we understand these principles and the dynamics involved in this, We put aside our sense of limitation. We accept our divine estate. We accept holy opulence, that we will always use the abundant energies vouchsafed to us to glorify God, to expand the creation, to go forth and multiply. We will always be centered within our hearts and perfectly engaging in the work of the brotherhood, so that all the higher truths, all the most luminous divine entities can gather round about us all that we require to fulfill our holy mission, our holy vision together. So thank you, heart friends, for accepting the challenge, for accepting the commission, and as some would call it, a covenant of light that we together are involved in. It takes each and every one of us powerfully magnetizing this collective vision of where we are moving to allow it to manifest. And as we learn more at Morya University in our classes and courses, as we participate together in these services, as we listen to the Ascended Master's inspirational deliveries through our heart streams, our discourses, dictations, and darshans, and our sharings together, as we really are consciously present in all of these activities, we are a part of the alchemy. We are God where we are to bring the kingdom of God upon earth. So that is El Morya's inspired message for today, to assist us in every way in living lives that are joyous and happy, fulfilled, and beautiful. Thank you for listening.